world battles the spread of COVID-19, fake news around it is growing. Lately, there's been a myth that 5G networks are causing the spread of the virus. I mean, ridiculous. But what's the story behind this whole 5G saga? Toby Shapshak from Stuff Magazine joins me via Skype to demystify the issue. I know this is something that's really made you pretty angry. Why don't you spew it out for us, Toby?
Well, I'll smile first because...
Good.
I mean, this is just madness. You know, there've been all sorts of conspiracy theories about all sorts of technology, but this one is actually destructive in the extreme. So, as usual, the conspiracy nutters have been saying that 5G is somehow caused. How does a radio frequency cause a virus? And this is the problem, because none of them have any common sense component. So if you kind of scratch the surface of it, just makes no sense. But people are just unreasonable, and they tend to believe things that they get via email or they see on YouTube or they see on Facebook. And of course, the more of it, it grows momentum. So there's no way the radiation could cause a virus scientifically. That's not just possible. In the UK, something like 20 cell phone masts, Jane, have been torched or vandalized or set alight. I mean, it's just the height of madness. This is the internet access most people are using to stay in touch, and then they are torching it. One imagines they don't have the alcohol shutdown that we do, which is why it seems to be happening at night. Nonetheless, there's a lot of scientific evidence about what radiation does or doesn't do, and of course the cell phone industry and the related industries do a lot of research around that. There's no scientific evidence whatsoever for most of the drivel, but of course it takes the big social media networks a while to kind of get their heads around this. So it took YouTube a long time to stop posting these absurd videos. And of course, once you take one down, 1,000 other ones come up. Remember that a lot of people who spread these conspiracy theories are trying to make money from the advertising. And of course, they get the advertising. Fake news websites, as we know from the 2016 US election, a lot of them were being run out of Eastern Europe, and they were making vast amounts of money for the people running them because, of course, they get the advertising every time you look at them. And that, of course, is the problem. So that's the one big conspiracy theory that we had last week and this week. The other was that Bill Gates was testing vaccines in Africa, which, of course, wasn't true. He had a very interesting interview, really worth watching, with Trevor Noah about how he's working on vaccines and what they're going to do. Apparently, the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, are prepared to build $7 billion factories for various companies working on a vaccine. Understanding, Bill Gates says that perhaps only 2 of those might come up with a vaccine, and that billions might be wasted, but they would, be invested into companies working on vaccines.
I mean, that really is a foundation that you can respect, can't it? I mean, they really put themselves out there, but as many people say, you're dealing with the pandemic of stupid. What sort of impact has it had, and how have these companies got around it?
Indeed. In fact, they've even got a phrase for it, which is infodemic. And the World Health Information is talking that. So they're fighting the spread of the coronavirus as much as they're fighting the spread of misinformation and bad information. Now, it's absolutely possible to stop this. Pinterest, of all social media platforms, were pioneers at stopping the idiot anti-vaxxers. They just shut it down completely, whereas Facebook and Google and everyone else wanted to down-rank it and minimize it and blah, blah, blah. Because, of course, they still get income from it, and they don't want to be seen as the arbitrators of editorial integrity. They keep talking about themselves not being publishers, and yet they keep using the arguments of editorial integrity of that nature to prevent themselves having to do it. But of course, the real problem is that there's so much disinformation that the real information isn't getting through to people. And my fear is that in South Africa, we haven't reached the peak infection rate because we just haven't been doing enough testing. We know that there are virus cases in Alexandra and Johannesburg and Khayelitsha in Cape Town. And those are dense areas where people are packed into shacks centimeters apart. That's what we should be really worried about, not about Stella Ndabeni Abrams going for lunch with Nduzi Manyana. I mean, one's a cabinet minister, the other's an MP. I'm astounded neither of them have been fired and neither of them have been arrested. It really does undercut, unfortunately, the president's authority when his own cabinet ministers and MPs behave so recklessly. Other people have been arrested. Like, where's the arrests for MPs and cabinet ministers who post pictures on social media flaunting that they're having a nice lunch? I didn't see any protective
Possibly as dangerous as fake news.
anywhere.
Toby, let's leave it there. Good to talk to you. Thank you. Let's